YouTube, what's the word?
What's up, y'all? We are back again, and we have a fun topic today. It's different. It's a different kind of topic.
This is gonna be a little bit for everybody, really, even if you've been a witness or not.
Yes.
Yep. So,
what are we gonna be talking about?
We're gonna be talking about finances, wealth, and basically just getting back on your feet, especially coming out of something like this.
Yes, for sure. And for those of you who have not seen it yet, we have another video called Jehovah's Witnesses and like poor culture or something like that. It's something along those lines.
We'll put it in the description.
Yeah, there we go. That's good. And you guys have to go back, watch that, because it shows the manipulation tactics that the organization uses to just keep you in a box.
Yeah, it's like they have a wealth shaming culture.
Yeah, they do.
Anytime somebody's doing good for themselves, it's like, oh, well, you could be doing this for the organization, or don't pursue college, or don't pursue these material things because the end is coming. And it's not talked about like you have culture versus the actual rules on paper.
Yes.
Which is the things that bite them in their butt is the stuff on paper. But the stuff that's culture, they can kind of twist it in court. And one is like, telling you not to go to college. They won't write it on paper, but, oh, what are you planning on doing after school, young sister? I'm thinking about going to Ohio State. Now, all of a sudden, you look that crazy.
Yeah.
Even though it's not on paper, the culture is, wealth and these type of things are frowned upon in an organization.
And it's not even just the organization, but I think that this comes with a problem in a lot of religions in general, because I noticed in our comments of that video a lot of people were saying something similar, like a lot of other Christian religions kind of glamorize like the poor lifestyle and struggle and all of those things, and they're like, oh well, Jesus had to go and live with other people while he they really try to glamorize that and make you feel kind of sorry for wanting to be comfortable,
right?
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add that the ironic part is the members are usually the poor people.
Yeah.
But the ones at the top telling you to be poor got all the money.
Yes. And I'm actually happy that you said that, because mine was actually in a piggyback kind of off of that. And other people in our comments also mentioned how it was very heavily based on demographics and where you live, so a lot of the suburban communities that were more uppity and had more wealthy members there, they didn't catch the slack all the time, and a lot of them were white, so they didn't catch the slack as much as somebody that was of color or who already lived in maybe a poor area. They caught a lot more slack for wanting better.
That's true.
So I think one of the first parts that we have to talk about whenever we're talking about finances is just learning. And this is one way that they do try to stunt your growth, because they don't want you to go to post-secondary school. They don't want you to go to college,
Right.
So, and aside from college, because we're not like people that are like, oh, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
We don't subscribe to that, okay?
Right.
Like are we millennials? I don't know what we are.
I guess technically I call myself, I got to experience both. I got to experience the 90s, like VHS and tapes. And I remember CDs becoming popular and cars having the eject button for tapes and all that, and then
I think
DVDs.
that's still considered millennial.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Because I don't think we're Gen Z quite yet. I think we're millennials.
Yeah, we like right in the middle, because we didn't grow up in this generation of straight technology and social media. We got to experience the both.
Playing outside and doing all the things.
I call it the perfect transition, because we got both worlds.
Yeah. I agree. But anyway, so we don't subscribe to you having to go to college, but we do subscribe to learning as much as you can, because that's one of the most powerful tools that you have in life in general, is learning as much as you can about a multitude of topics.
And you can't be closed-minded with things. And it's usually the things that really help you are the things you've never been taught, or the things are not the norm, because a lot of the things that are the norm, even like school, for instance, school was always normal, but taking a 6-year-old kid or 5-year-old kids and stuffing them in the classroom for 8 hours and making them sit down is normal to society. But outside of that, that's not that's not normal for human behavior.
No, it's programming.
Right.
They're literally programming us from young kids to become workers to keep up this economy. They're not programming you to be able to be financially free and not have to, you know, punch in every day and slave away for 40 years. You know what I mean? And not everybody's going to view it as it's slaving away. But this is how we view it, because somebody else is managing your time for the majority of your life.
And that goes with our purpose. Like you said, everybody has a different purpose. Like, one person may wake up every day, work at the bakery with a big smile, and they enjoy their life. That's their purpose. So what we talking from is from our perspective. Like, we are not comfortable with being told what to do. That was part of us moving to Atlanta. Like, me personally, this is just my thoughts. I don't feel like I need to ask somebody permission to be like, I want to go back home with my family for 2 weeks. Is that okay with you? I don't feel like I need to do that. I should be able to do it on my own.
Yeah, I agree. And that's actually one of the reasons that I ended up going into travel nursing, because I felt like I had a little bit more control over my schedule. But even then, it's not like you have complete control over your schedule. You know, when you're locked into an assignment, you're locked in for however much time. But that's one of the reasons that attracted me to it, because I know, okay, if I manage my finances okay, I can take off a month, or I can take off 2 months if that's what I want. Have I ever done it? Once.
Right. But it's all part of the journey.
Yes, it is. So that's from our perspective. Just trying to learn as much as you can. None of us were really taught financial literacy whenever we were in high school. No. They taught us, you know, how to sew. They taught us cooking. They taught us all these things, but they didn't teach us how to fill out our tax return forms, or
buy a credit card,
or how to budget. Like, they didn't teach us those things, and how to go through the house buying process. They didn't teach us all
the important stuff. They taught you how to work.
They taught you how to work and how to listen to your boss is what they taught you. Okay?
And a lot of times they geek you up to get these careers, but don't explain the debt that comes with getting these careers. Like, so many people owe $50,000, $80,000, $100,000, more than that in debt, and by the time they finish school, they 10 steps behind. Yeah,
and that's just in student loans. And then they end up in a career that does not even equal how much student loan debt that you have. So you might go to school for 4 years and get a psychology degree or something. And now you're coming out of school with this degree, but this bachelor's degree at that, that really can't get you anywhere, and is getting you into these entry-level positions that are trying to pay you $15 an hour.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
$15 an hour.
On top of your bills that you got to pay. So you're paying your bills. On top of that, you are, you know, trying to catch up on what was already dumped on you before you start working.
So you're not taught. You're just taught to, like, they say, oh, follow your dreams, but they don't tell you to follow something that's going to allow you to be, like, freer, you know what I mean? Or at least feel worth it, because there's so many people who have gone to school for all these years and it doesn't feel worth it to them, because they end up in a career that has nothing to do with their degree, because their degree didn't pay them anything.
Yeah, and a lot of times people, even when you ask a little kid what you want to be when they grow up, it's limitless to what they want to be, but somehow during school they reprogram you to be something else. In reality, life is about doing what makes you happy. Dame Dash is like one of my favorite people to listen to, and he asks, if you could do something every day for the rest of your life for free, what would it be? That's what you know should be going after.
And it's true. You just have to find a way for it to pay you in those moments, or find other things that can pay you in those moments, so that you can spend your time doing what it is that you love. Because what I love is hanging out with animals. But did I ever want to be a veterinarian? I did, until I found out that I might have to see them die, and I was like, can't do that. But we can do humans.
For real.
But that's what it felt like to me, you know. So you just have to find a way to be able to, like, live out your dream.
And we'll go more into detail on that. Now, in the beginning, one of the most important things with budgeting, a lot of people, you wouldn't believe this, don't pay attention to what they spend, especially when I remember somebody explaining this when I first started working. You get paid, say at that time it was like $10 an hour. You get you a 1-bedroom apartment. You got your car. Regular car that's paid for, boom. You get a raise, now you're making $12 an hour. Ooh, I need a 2-bedroom now. This iPhone, this from 2 years ago, I need a different one. Things like that. most people don't realize what they're doing with their money, and they ended up just spending and spending and spending and not realizing where the money is going. And it's like, I need more money. I need more money. Yep. But in reality, what is it?
You're constantly increasing your lifestyle. Yep. So being able to spend less than you earn is like one of the very key factors of being able to move anywhere with your financial health.
It's like discipline.
Yeah, it is. It's just discipline. And just like you said, you start by budgeting. You can't know where you're going if you don't first become aware of where you're at.
Yep.
So there are so many people that don't have a budget. I think it's something like 60% of Americans or something don't have a budget.
No.
That's crazy.
You just wing it.
No, you can't wing it. You can't wing it. You have to know where your money is going, you know? And it doesn't, I'm not one of those people who are like, if you ever listen to like Dave Ramsey and stuff, oh, stop buying your Starbucks, stop buying your coffee. I don't believe that. Like, I believe that you should still be able to treat yourself if you have the means to do it. You know what I mean? If you have the means to do these things, but just keep track of where everything is going and prioritizing where things are going. Don't be going out to eat and having a whole nice brunch Sunday and you can't pay your electric bill.
Yeah, like common sense things, but a lot of people do that.
A lot of people do. It's actually surprising to me how many people do that.
Yeah.
So the main things that you want to focus on first is Dave Ramsey likes to call it your 4 walls. So everything that keeps your 4 walls running. That's all of your bills that go within. So that's like your rent or your mortgage, your utilities, and what else? Rent, mortgage, utilities.
Because utilities include like gas, electric, all of that, water.
Yeah,
so it's just all your utilities.
So basically those are your fixed expenses. Those are things that you're going to have to pay for every month to keep
that you
your
need
home running.
For sure. Like need.
Yes. And then you have your variable expenses, which include like groceries. Those are other things that you also need, you know, but they may vary month to month. I put groceries in fixed expenses because it's like, it may vary, but I budget a certain amount every single month for it. You know what I mean?
For real. Or every week sometimes it's like, all right, this is what we're going to need.
Right.
And then even with that, you have to be smart about where you get groceries from.
Man, that's the key.
That makes a big difference because say you want to go grocery shopping at Aldi versus Target.
Or Aldi versus like Publix.
Yeah, like Publix, something like that. It's gonna make a difference.
A huge difference.
And then, like you mentioned, people that go out to eat often. If you are really trying to budget, when you go to work, what are you eating on your lunch break?
Yeah.
Is it something you got from the grocery store to where you can make a meal that is split and last this long?
Yes.
Or are you jumping in the car, there's gas, going out to whatever it is you want to eat, you buying more food, you driving back to work. It may not seem like a lot at the moment, but it adds up.
You know what's a big spender? Is the Uber Eats and
I was gonna take.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh,
thinking
the
of that.
DoorDash. Because listen, he's so good about planning his meals for work. Okay, and he's just really good at doing that. Me, not so much. I only work 3 days a week, but if I worked 5 days a week, even in 3 days, it adds up if I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Even for 2 days for one person, for just me, it's like $50-$60. $50-$60 just for 2 meals.
And it adds up quick.
That's insane. Like that's really bad. So that's a problem that I feel like the majority of us are facing now is like all of these easy, accessible things that
cost you a lot.
Yes, after the delivery fee, the taxes, the tip, like all of sometimes you end up paying double for a meal. A Subway sandwich is $12 if you go in there and buy it yourself. So whenever you are writing out your budget and you want to put everything in this budget, everything that you spend in a month, okay? So you're going to put down all of your bills, all of the minimum credit card fees that you have, all of your loans that you have. You're going to put every expense in there. How much your groceries are, all those things. Add them up. And if the income that you're bringing in every month or if your expenses that you're having every month minus your income that you have every month ends up being in the negatives, that means that you are spending more than you are making. So you got to do one of two things. Either you need to lower your expenses or you need to increase your income. And this is before you even talk about like savings and investments, you know, but you want to even put that into your budget, like how much you want to save, how much you want to invest, all those things you want to put in there.
Right.
And a big thing to talk about is the credit cards, and I'll let you pick up from there.
Oh, that's true. I want to bring out another thing. A lot of the times when people add up the expenses, a lot of the times if it's in the negatives, it's things that they don't need that they are buying. This ending up putting them in the negatives.
Yes.
That's very common.
And a good, you know what, you bring up a good point, because a good way to start doing your budget is if you look at your your bank statement from the last month, just go through all of those. Usually they send it to you every month, or you could find it online on whatever your platform is. Go through all of those and see how much you spent that month. And if it does not equal your income or is less than your income, then we have a problem. You have to look at your finances and figure out where it is and like what category it is that you might be overspending. A lot of people, it's food, because it's just a natural thing to overspend. Restaurants and treating yourself.
Especially here in the States, because a lot of other countries have one big meal a day.
Yeah.
But here it's like, wake up, eat. Couple hours later on for lunch, eat again.
Yeah. Or if you live somewhere like we do in Atlanta, when we go back home, we're like, oh my gosh, these restaurants are so cheap.
For real.
Because here it can just be pricey.
For real, for two people, you paying grocery bills.
Yeah, seriously, like $80 or $100, like
definitely
every time, especially if you have like a drink or something.
Yeah,
just don't do it.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, do not recommend.
But speaking of spending, I guess credit cards. This is where, and I was talking to somebody back home earlier about credit cards, because a lot of people, depending on your area or environment, some people don't even mess with credit cards or don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So we can even break that down. But with credit cards, say you have $1,000 in your account, and that's it. You get a credit card that says $10,000. The average mind goes, I got another $10,000. You don't. You have $1,000.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, people spend these credit cards like crazy because it's not coming out of technically your pocket.
It doesn't feel like your money.
It doesn't feel like it. And what ends up happening, now you owe, on top of that $1,000 you have for yourself, you got to pay back that money you spent on that credit card.
Yep.
And usually with interest.
Yes, with interest, okay? And these credit cards don't have cheap APRs. They're like 20% a year,
easily.
25%. Like, so if you are carrying a balance over on your credit cards, like if you're in credit card debt and carrying a balance over every month, that means you are paying more money than you even spent.
Definitely.
Okay, so you want to... My rule of thumb is if I don't have it in my bank account, I'm not spending it.
Right.
So I use credit cards. Like, we both use credit cards because we have different credit cards that have like, different points and like benefits.
Yep.
But we don't carry balances over most of the time.
No,
Like,
that's not the plan.
Yeah, we don't carry balances. Like,
No.
I haven't carried a balance over in probably over 5 years, back whenever I was in nursing school.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
No, it's not recommended. Don't get a credit card because you need some money right quick, because it may seem like it's going to put you in a different position, but what it ends up doing is putting you further in debt. Yep.
And now you owe somebody even more than you spent. So credit cards can really be a trap for a lot of people.
They can.
And if you are in credit card debt, it's okay. Most of the population is. So
over like 40+%.
Yeah, I think it's like a little bit over or under half. Yeah, you're right. Like 48% or something. But a lot of people have a credit card balance and carry it over. Now what you can do is just learn and try to pay that balance down so you don't have to owe any more to them.
Right, pay something.
Yeah.
Paying something is more than being in more and more debt. Just
Yeah.
put something towards it. And for somebody that's starting off with a credit card, I don't know what to do. Don't spend what you don't have, like you said. So use it for, gas for the car. Instead of just paying out of pocket, fill your tank up, and when it's time for this car to be paid off, pay it back off. Or you may just need it until payday. Payday comes, take that money back off that you just used to fill the tank up.
Yeah.
And doing that will build your credit up because you have a payment history now.
Yes, that's so true. And people like to say like, oh, you don't need credit. You do need credit. Like in this economy and here in America, like you need it. So to, have some leverage. You just got to do it.
No, it's more like playing a game, because even though this country is trillions of dollars in debt and they trying to tell people what to do with their debt, yeah, it's very bogus, but you just playing along with the game.
Yeah, basically, and trying to beat them at it. And if you have like a issue with shopping or something and you can't be trusted with the credit card, then you need to get rid of them, And I'm not saying like close out the account, but just like Dave Ramsey says, just chop them up. You know what I mean? You don't have to close the account out, because that will end up lowering your credit,
right?
Because it looks like a closed account. But chop them up and don't use it. And even if you are in credit card debt that you are having every month, stop using the credit card.
Definitely
focus on paying the credit card off, and any extra money that you can put towards it, you want to pay the minimum balance and then try to put more money on top of that so you can get it paid down quicker.
Yep. And if you are having trouble with spending habits, that's part of healing, especially if you are trying to get to a better situation to where you want to be able to have more money. Somewhere inside of here, something has to click with your discipline. No different from somebody wanting to lose weight.
Yeah.
All right, you can't keep making excuses. Say, well, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. Well, at some point, something has to change in order for you to get those results. Yep. It's not always an easy thing, but it's the effort. You got to try it. And if you fail, do it again. Keep doing it until it starts working.
Yes, and then you won't feel so much anxiety. Like, people have a lot of anxiety when it comes to finances, and for good reason, especially if you are like drowning in debt and things are just hard enough as it is now, Why make it any harder for yourself? A lot of the time that ends up becoming like a psychological thing when it comes to spending, if you are overspending. And it's like the keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that can be dangerous.
More than dangerous, because what is the point? Like so many people are obsessed with having like the newest car or the newest shoe and like the newest purse and these things are not cheap things. Like so many people always talk about designer, especially in my age range as a woman. Like people are obsessed with designer products. I've never understood it. It's just not me.
It's an ego thing. It's more of like the masses and then the percentage that's more aware of what's going on. And when you can understand, like, it's a lot of people here that have their own clothing. I look at it as, okay, Louis Vuitton, the owner of this, or these people are rich and don't care about people that look like me on top of that. So that's kind of the basis to it. And then I got the homie over here trying to start his own clothing brand. I would rather pay him for his stuff to get off the ground, and this is somebody's blood, sweat, and tears, versus this rich person that's already rich over here. They can care less about anybody else or appreciate the people that's helping them get rich, versus this person here. Man, thank you so much for putting on my such and such and even taking a picture with it. It's a lot more appreciation. Even though you may not know who this person is, so what? These clothes stop me from being naked, just like that $1,000 t-shirt dude.
Yes, so true. And if you have the means to do it, and that's something that you choose to spend your money on, not knocking that down at all. Like, do it. But the problem is, if you don't have the means to do it, don't do it. It's not worth it to just, because you're wearing it for show. And I think a lot of times it's just something inside is what's feeling empty, so you're using this as something to fill yourself back up.
That's straight up.
When you have to be just from head to toe Louis Vuitton, like what's the point?
And over time, learning the way that you really affect people is not with what you got on. It's the way that you inspire people, the way you make people feel, the words you say to uplift people. That person that walks in and lights up the room, it's not because of the clothes they got on, it's the spirit of the person to go, man, I just love being around that person. Or if you used to dress like this, but now you don't have all the expensive stuff no more, the people that look at you different are the people you don't need to be around.
Yeah, because it's people that were initially attracted to that. They were attracted to what you had on and what you could do for them, It's like, if you present yourself as somebody who is like superficial, which sadly if you wear a bunch of designer stuff, people are automatically going to have their assumptions about you. They're going to assume that you have a lot of money. They're going to assume that you're into like superficial things, and naturally that's what's going to get attracted to you is like superficial people. So once those things are stripped away from you, guess who's gone too?
They
those
strip
superficial
away too.
People.
Yeah. So it's about, when it comes to material things, having a balance with it.
Yes.
Have the spirit, have your energy
first.
Have that first.
Yeah.
And add the layer on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having, you know, a cake that's good as is and then throwing icing on it.
Right.
Versus if you just throw the icing on top of the pan and you remove the icing and there ain't no cake there, it's worthless.
Yeah. Or like, you ever see those cardboard cakes that they make just to decorate?
Yeah.
It's like that, and having the icing on top. And that's like all the designer stuff and all the stuff that makes you feel expensive. But they go to bite the cake. There's no cake.
Yeah.
It's just the cardboard.
There's a lot of rich people with no personality to them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's what makes them who they are. And I feel like we see that a lot more because of the city that we live in.
Yep.
You know, it's different. It's different here. Like,
it's a lot of fakes and frauds down here.
Yes. So we're speaking from that perspective as well. I know there's a bunch of people that are into fashion and they just like higher end items. No problem with that. Don't go into debt and ruin your financial health over those things just because you're trying to keep up with an image. Like, that's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's a time and place for it. You make sure everything is okay, everything is taken care of, and when you got the extra change, that's when you go get the
whatever
fancy
you
stuff.
want, anything you want. Doesn't matter what type of fancy thing it is.
Yeah, but you're not going into credit card debt. If you don't have the money in your pocket to buy this stuff and you swiping your credit card and worrying about it later,
right,
just to look good, you looking good for people who ain't helping you pay that card off or helping you get out of debt.
Or even whenever it comes to cars, like just over leveraging yourself, you know what I mean? And always trying to keep up with like the latest car. Like, you're gonna be forever trying to keep up because there's always going to be a new car, new purse, new phone, new that. Like, there's
it
always
never stops.
New. Both of us have older cars that are completely paid off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd rather take my older car that is paid off, my little 2013 Kia Optima that I've had since nursing school, than to have a car payment. These car payments are astronomical right now.
Yeah, and that's what people try to convince you need to get a new car. Okay.
No, I don't.
On average, I'm sure it's much higher. We'll just go with $500. $500 every month adds up. So that's every month somebody going, yoink, give me that. The next month, give me that. Wouldn't you rather just have it sitting and then the next month throw another $500?
Yeah.
Now you got the money. You can go buy you another car. Like, when it's time for us to get new cars, we're not even like, all right, we need the 2024 right now. No, it's like, all right, we'll just get something newer.
Yeah.
And then down the line, once we're not having to work a day job or something like that, then you're going to see us going to get AMGs and stuff like that. But right now,
like those.
yeah, we love those. But right now, we are not about to come out of pocket to buy the new AMG 63.
$70,000 car. Like,
Yeah,
no.
$140 for a car. Like, that's, even though we got the credit and stuff, it's not time. You got to understand when it's your time to do it.
Yes. And that's the thing. Just because you're approved to do something doesn't mean it's in the best interest of you. You have to remember the people that are approving you for these things are people that are going to benefit in the end.
For
so
real.
These banks and everybody that are lending you money, they are the ones that get to benefit from you in all of your hard worked money every single month. So even whenever it came to like us buying a house, we didn't realize, or at least I didn't realize, how much they truly receive in interest. Like, we went in,
scam.
It's a scam. We went into buying a home with a plan of like paying it off early and everything, you know, and that was already our plan. Thank goodness. So we bought something that we can afford. But the thing is, a lot of people will buy something that they can barely afford
Because they approved, all right, here go 500,000. I'm about to get a house for 500,000. No,
go under always.
Yeah, go under.
Yeah, because you will end up spending so much money in the end, literally double the amount of your home if you extend it over the 30 years. It's insane. And the same thing happens with your cars. Like, they want to over leverage you. Like, oh, are you sure you don't want this with all, this one has a sunroof and the newest tech and blah blah blah. Like, they'll talk, they're salespeople. They're getting a commission, okay?
Yep, they just like the governing body. They selling you something. Make it sound the best way it can.
Yes. And they're like, oh, it'll only be this much more per month, you might as well, you know what I mean? They're good at selling it.
Right, and you sitting here looking at something you want to buy, and you got your eyes like this swirling, like, okay, extra $50 a month. okay,
that like, oh, let me feel this leather. It feels so good in here. It smells so nice.
It's all for the okie doke.
Yes. Yeah. So the next section we're going to talk about is savings. Okay.
That's where it get good.
Yes. This is just basic savings. And I think it's good to start with like an opening statistic. And we have one here that says only 44% of people say that they can afford to pay a $1,000 emergency expense from their savings account. According to Bankrate's survey of more than 1,000 respondents conducted in December. That is up from 43% in 2023. So this was just conducted in 2024. And it says it's level when compared to 2022. So basically 44% of people are able to pay a $1,000 emergency. That means that 56% of people cannot.
Yeah.
That's more than half.
Yeah.
So having a savings is so important for those times whenever you do have emergencies. When something comes up, it sucks to have to be like, where am I going to get this money from?
Right.
You know what I mean? Having to borrow here, having to put it on a credit card, having to ask maybe a family member, like, do you have this? Mm-hmm. So that's a good place to start, is just with $1,000. And a lot of financial gurus kind of teach that, like starting with a savings of $1,000.
That's it.
Just to cover those unexpected emergencies. And I think if you take it from there, another thing to think about is other savings that you can have throughout the year. So a lot of people, Christmas, especially us coming out this call, if you're going to celebrate Christmas, you can celebrate, or you can save throughout the year for big funds like that you think you're going to spend a lot of money.
Instead of waiting until the last minute.
Yes. Spent, putting away $50 a month. That's going to get you, what, $600? Yeah, $600 at the end of the year. Yeah,
that's something. It all counts. And that little bit, like we say with DoorDash and things like that, that little bit adds up over time. It's something that I thought about, because I hear this a lot when it comes to buying houses. Buying houses isn't for everybody, but what scares a lot of people, I don't want to be responsible.
Yeah.
If something go bad, I don't want to be responsible. But what you're not thinking is, all right, the water heater doesn't go out every year. The furnace, things like that. So putting that money aside over time for a rainy day, you good. And what ends up happening, people go, well, I got this money saved, I'm about to spend it on, and it ends up going towards something you don't need. So that's what scares a lot of people. But in reality, this is going to help you out. That every dollar counts.
Yes, it's about having those financial habits.
Yeah.
And I think that over time you get those habits, and if you know that you're going to sign up for a responsibility like a house, then you know that there's a potential for things to go wrong, and you know that that's going to be your responsibility. So in the back of your head, oh, maybe I should put some money aside just in case.
Yeah, in case something happens.
Yeah. Just like us, we told you guys about the tree in the back. That took us out $750. Now, if we were people that didn't have any financial habits, then that $750, that's a lot of money to come out at one time. You know what I mean? So, but we knew that was coming. Yeah. So we were like, okay, we gotta put some money aside for this.
Definitely. So with things like that, like we say, this is a time to get the fancy stuff. This is time to put it aside for something else.
Yeah.
Then once $750 is coming per viewer or something like that, then it's like, all right, so what? We can just throw this stuff around. But it's not a time for it.
Yes, that is so true. So I think, just putting out the message that savings can really help you on rainy days, and eventually you want to be able to save money to where if something big were to happen, like you losing your job or something, then you can have that nest egg, so you're not freaking out that month, where you don't have any income, if it even lasts a month for you to get another job,
be prepared.
Just an emergency fund with a couple months of savings, and this will be your bare minimum that you would need to keep everything in your home running.
Yep. And think of how the dollars work. $1 sounds like nothing, but if you have $1 million and you spend $1, you are no longer a millionaire.
Yeah, that's so true.
That dollar counted that much. Or saving up $1,000, you do it. Well, do it some more. If you do that 50 more times, just, all right, I need to save 1,000. 50 more times, do the math on that.
Yes.
Do that 100 times. You get what I'm saying? It adds up.
It adds up over time. And then you start to find other ways to bring in that income, like creating side hustles and other ways to be able to bring you in that extra amount of money for you to save or to invest. And I think that's a good segue into just going into investing, because there's a difference between saving and investing, okay?
Yep.
Saving does not keep up with the rate of inflation. Saving, you're going to put your money, even if you put it into like a high yield savings account, it gives you very little return. Like, I think I'm with CIT Bank for my emergency fund, and that's where I have just easy access to an emergency fund if something were to happen. And that gives you like, I think it's like 3% or something. It's pretty low, but it's high in comparison to other high yield savings accounts. And you have it just for easy access where it's not invested into something.
That's true.
But you have investments then that can bring you up like an 8 to 10% return, like in the stock market, for example. And putting your money in there, your money is going to grow over time.
Definitely. And stocks scare a lot of people. I compare it to riding a bike. Riding a bike was scary. Until you learn what you were doing. And stocks is like, I'm not a gambler, but it's like gambling. If you don't have $10,000 to lose, don't take it to the gambling table. So that's something I got into, like with crypto. This stuff that I bought that was 99 cents for, it might have been 1 million shares. Then, or I spent 99 cents, but I look back months later and that 99 cents is worth $50. All right, I didn't care about losing 99 cents. So when it comes to, and of course there's more information on YouTube and things like that if you want to learn stocks. But something like that, every once in a while I would see some stocks, something that's going up or something that was up and just dropped. It may be a couple dollars. All right, $5. That's an investment. Your $5 turns into $14. That's better than sitting $5 on the counter and walking away and just leaving it there. When you come back, it's just $5.
Yes, that's so true. And just like I said, it doesn't keep up with the rate of inflation. And we all feel it. We have all felt how much inflation has affected us, the past couple of years. Like everything is up. Food is up. Gas is up. Clothes are up. Everything is just up, you know?
And people feeling down. The exact opposite from it.
That part. So by the time that you retire in 30 years, 40 years, 20 years, however long that might be for you, you want to have more than just a savings account. You want to have...
You want to live good.
Yes. You want to have something that's actually going to make you some money. So we're going to insert a chart, and it's from the Money Guy Show, if anybody is familiar with it. I love them. I think that they're really good. And you can find them on YouTube and on Instagram. But they have this chart that shows you like the power of your dollar. And it has a section in there where it says like, okay, at 20 years old, for every $1 that you invest, by the time that you become 67, it's like $88. Like each one of your dollars is equal to $88 if you start investing at the age 20. And then it has a whole chart from there of like different ages and how much you would need to invest every month to become a millionaire by 67 years old.
And that's... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's all it takes, because you're going to spend money regardless. Now, what you spend it on is up to you. So you might as well spend some of it for future you. You know, I think that the organization gave all of us this idea of just like living in the present moment and not so much thinking about planning for the future. Because to them, it was like, oh, there is not going to be a future in this world. But... How ironic, they sold the Brooklyn headquarters for a crazy amount. I forget the amount, but I'm sure we could look it up. And bought some cheap land out in the boonies and rebuild something even bigger. Why? If the world is going to end any day now, and they have investment portfolios, long-term investments, not short-term. They know ain't no end of the world about to come, but they teaching their members, just keep paying us. Don't worry about your job, or Jehovah give you a new job. Or even they praise it to the point we talked about on our video. This brother was offered a job because he was out of a job for months, and they offered him a job paying $200,000 a year, and he turned it down because it would interrupt field service.
Like, be for real.
He ain't zealous, he's a fool.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He's a straight up fool for that, man.
No, for real. And it's so messed up because I talk about this couple sometimes too, because there was a couple in our Kingdom Hall that the dude was young and the girl was young, but he had his own like company. But he used to get crap about him being like the CEO of his company all the time.
Right.
And it didn't affect any, like his wife was a pioneer at that time, you know, and they just tried to basically act like they were trying to like show off, or they were like materialistic or something. And he just used to get crap for it, just for living decent, like living good,
and it was in his means. It's not like he was working a job where he could barely make enough, but going and getting fancy stuff. No, he's doing well for himself. Hey, why not gift myself with something nice? I can afford it.
And I know at the Kingdom Hall that I was at least, they used to praise a lot of the couples, which there's nothing wrong with renting. I get why people want to rent, but they would really try to praise couples who were renting, because they're like, oh, that makes you, you know, more flexible. There's nothing holding you down, like trying to say things like that. When in reality, like, people try so hard to paint the picture of like a house holding you down from things, but it's not true. It's literally just something that you have, and you can always put it up for rent as well, or you could put it up for sale. So it's not like you're just locked in and tied into this contract forever. That's not true.
Yep. And this is something my cousin that brought up, talking to her, I forgot, at their congregation that I ended up switching to at some point, it was a lot of rich brothers that was real cheap with their money, but they didn't talk about it. They had all type of investments. They had retirement funds. They owned property and would rent out to the other friends. But it was one of those things that they don't really talk about. Or, you know, so-and-so, that brother owned an apartment. He do? Because it wasn't really talked about like that.
Because you couldn't talk about stuff like that.
So
like,
some of them didn't. They were being disobedient and investing in stuff just for a rainy day.
Yeah. And the people would like try to talk to you about it and make it seem like you're trying to show off or something if you had something nice. Like, we had this brother, he had a really nice car, and he would drive it up sometimes, you know, because that's the car that he was in. And they would talk to him about it because it was a 2-door car, and they're like, oh, you're showing off. Like, it's just so, that kind of mindset is really annoying to me, because why can't you just praise them on like doing well and move on? Not everything has to be something to show off, you know?
Moving forward, this is very, very simple, yet difficult for people to follow.
It was hard for us to follow it at first too.
Yeah, once we understood it. But this is where the discipline comes in. So you have 2 categories. You have liabilities and you have assets. Liabilities, this simple. Take money out your pocket. Gone. Assets, add money to your pocket. So now, once you can split the line down the middle, you'll look at everything you spend as one or the other. Not counting like just regular household things, but things you don't need. Like, all right, a new car. You buy this new car, is that an asset or a liability? Is this new car putting money in your pocket? Well, chances are when you bought it, especially if it's brand new, when you drive it off the lot, money out your pocket. Depreciates. And by the time you pay this car off, it's not going to be worth what you paid for. Not to mention, you're not going to be excited about the car no more. You're going, I can't wait to get this paid off. And a lot of times people go, well, now I want a new car. Another liability. Now, things that can be an asset are things that put money in your pocket. For example, real estate. Are you, especially once the house is paid off, now every month income is going into your pocket. More into your pocket. You want to rent that out. Or even the home that you buy, it can also be a liability too, because you are paying for it. But once you pay this house off or you rent it out, now it becomes an asset. So literally anything you buy, clothes, you buy these shoes, the new J's drop $225. Once you put them on, price drop. Once you start wearing them, you can't sell them for $225 no more while you wearing them.
Okay, so just like we were talking about earlier, whenever it came to budgeting and income versus expenses, and then he was talking about the assets versus liabilities. So we kind of made a chart, and we got this from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that was a great read. Yes. We suggest you guys read it. We'll put it up on the screen for you guys to follow along with us. We'll start at income. So usually that's just, whatever W-2 job that you have. And then you have all of your expenses. So your expenses in this is showing basically your 4 walls. So everything that is must-haves: groceries, rent, mortgage, insurance, utilities, gas for car, those kinds of things, okay? Then you got your liabilities. Your liabilities are car loan, can be your home loan, your student loans. We put partying in there because these are discretionary expenses. So this is something that you don't have to do, but it's a liability in the end. Mm-hmm. The constant upgrades, that keeping up with the Joneses, all that thing, and shopping. So these are all liabilities that end up going into your expenses, which is why the liabilities have the arrow towards the expenses. This is where most people live, in the income, expenses, and liabilities. Now, how you change it up is by starting to include assets. Okay, so just like the book was talking about, most people live in the income, expenses, and liabilities portion with limited assets. But rich people will limit their liabilities. So they get rid of a lot of their liabilities and instead start including more and more assets. Assets can include stocks, bonds, real estate, especially served as like rental properties, Roth IRAs, 401ks, and different side skills that help aid into producing more income that is coming into their pocket. And they use these to fund their expenses. And we're not saying that you can only live in like the income, expenses, and assets, because you can have all 4. You can have income, expenses, liabilities, and assets.
Right.
But usually the rich are going to limit their liabilities and have more assets.
That's all. And it's not saying have 0 liabilities, but limit them and at least have balance when it comes to what you spend and what you are bringing in.
Right. Don't have more liabilities and expenses over your income and assets. You want that to balance out, especially to retire, like being able to have those multiple streams of income and not just having to rely on your one job, because the truth is, like, it's not stable out here. People get laid off. Yeah, they get laid off, they get fired. Like, it's just unpredictable. So having multiple streams of income can be very important.
Definitely. That was a lot of information, I'm sure.
It was a lot of information.
Yeah, we took like years of stuff we done learned since waking up, really.
Yeah.
And just crammed it all into one video.
Yeah, I feel like we always say we didn't just wake up to the organization, but we woke up in a lot of different ways and just started seeing like all the crazy corruptness that goes on in the world around us, not in more than one way. And
just finding out how to make life easier. Like, life is hard enough as is, so you might as well make it the best version of a hard life you can. So it comes down to find your purpose. Like, what are you here for? What do you like to do? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'll say, like, for example, I started off just a regular trade as a machinist, and it was just one income. So with learning this information, it's like, what am I even good at? And what I can say from my experience, I made a list of things I just love to do. Didn't have to be stuff that would pay me. It was just stuff that I like to do. And it was like, coincidentally, I tell people, make a list, and something on that list is going to be what you're supposed to do. So on that list, one of the things I had was, I like going to the gym. I like YouTube stuff. And this was in 2020. Matter of fact, it's on this sheet of paper in this old notebook. And months down the line, working out, I helped some dude with some curls. And something clicked. I should be a personal trainer. So I started going to school for that. And ended up, once we moved here, already been a machinist. So that job was easy to kind of find, and it was about finding the right job. But on the side, I start personal training on the side. And in the midst, if you scroll down to our old videos, you'll see us working out before we did any of this content. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
And then it went from that to, let's try this YouTube thing out. Let's tell our story about, why we left Jehovah's Witnesses. And boom, now it's a following of people. And it all comes from figuring out what you're good at. And we ended up finding the talent just by, what are some other things we could do besides just our regular job? Yeah,
and sometimes just things that you're passionate about. Because for me, I really like makeup, I like fashion, I like stuff like that. So started doing eyebrows, so that's like a different income stream, and you can just delve into all of your passions. You never know what might click, You
don't know.
And it's fun because it's like, the main reason that we do this is not for income. It's literally because we can feel it making a difference, you know. And even with the eyebrow thing that I do on the side, like I just love making people feel beautiful and like being able to wake up and just have these permanent eyebrows on them that they don't have to draw on.
And that's the important part. It's about doing something you love to do over doing it for money, because you'll get burnt out on it. You just getting up every day doing something just so you can get paid. And a lot of times we don't have to sit and brainstorm like, what can we do a video? It just comes natural with the conversation and interacting with people on YouTube to say, what if y'all covered a video on such and such? And we like, all right, let's do that. And it just comes naturally. Or just like, you know, you doing eyebrows. Somebody's like, I just want to change myself. Oh, I know something that'll help you feel better. Let me offer this service to you. And it just happens to pay. But the whole plan is not, I'm just doing this for the money. Like find you an extra stream, but do something you love more importantly. Like if you could do it for free, you would still do it. And
that's actually something that I feel similar to with like nursing, because you know, we're always talking about like retiring and everything, but nursing is something that I would still do. Like even if we were retired, like I would still want to do it. Maybe not 3 12-hour shifts, you know, maybe just once a week, but it's still something that I like.
Right.
You know?
And that makes it a lot better. And it's on your terms. So that's what we would tell anybody. Find something that you are passionate about, something that you love to do, and you never know what your service might do for other people. You might just happen to help people doing something that's natural to you.
It's so crazy because whenever you get to like, you know, those points, it feels like a greater purpose outside of yourself. You know what I mean? At first it starts like, oh, this is something that I like, and then it becomes something different. Like
it's
I have
something you were supposed to do.
Purpose.
It's all following your journey of life. Everything you were doing in your life was meant for that time for some reason. And
don't feel down on yourselves. There's always change that you can do in your journey, and that is in any way, in your spiritual journey, your financial journey, your, you know, physical health and fitness journey. Like in all of these ways, like there's always an improvement that you can make. You can become okay with where you're at. There's no problem with that.
It's all about your journey. Like the person working in the bakery, if this is where they find their peace, that's what they should want to do. But if you're working at this place and you hate it and you dread going to work and you this place is make you miserable, this is not where you need to be in life. Find something that'll bring you happiness. And with all the journeys you name, spiritual, financial, health, our theory is the brick a day. Lay a brick a day. If somebody tells you, build me a wall, you're going to get overwhelmed. That's too much to think about. Man, this a 20-foot wall, I can't do that. But if somebody say, hey, lay this brick down for me. All right, that's it. I'll holler at you tomorrow. The next day, here's another brick. Next thing you know, you got a wall. And you don't even realize, because you will focus on a brick and another brick every day. This is how you achieve your goals. Give yourself a weekly goal. This week, I want to be able to save $10. That's it. It'll add up 10 times your 52 weeks. You know what I mean? Start something that small. This week, I need to lose weight. Don't think about I need to run a marathon. All right, I want to go for a nice walk just around the block. I don't have to jog. I just want to walk. That counts. That's progress from what you did when you wasn't walking.
It starts just like that. You are absolutely correct. And when you make it these goals that are attainable, it just becomes so much easier, you know. And then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, oh man, I just started with like taking a walk around the block, and now I can it's funny, I was talking to my sister today, and my sister, she had 2 babies. She had twins back in October, and you know, she's just trying to get back to feeling herself, and she's like, all right, I'm just gonna start walking with the boys every day. And so she started walking, but today on the phone she was getting ready and everything, and she was like, this route is starting to become a little easy for me, so I'm gonna have to take another one. And that's exactly what happens. You become conditioned to all of that, so it just becomes routine. Like when it comes to saving money, you're gonna start saving $10 a week, and then you're like, all right, this has become easy. It's become routine, so now you can start saving more, you know?
Like, let's go party this weekend. Well, shoot, I ain't partied the last 3 weekends, and I'll save $50. That right there, how you like, nah, I'm cool. I'll catch y'all. I'm gonna go once a month now. But every weekend, I'm cool. I just saved $50 that I wouldn't have had. And start small.
Those things are like traps. They'll get you real easy, you know? Because I saw an Instagram post that was like, every time that I go outside, it costs $100.
Yeah,
facts.
It is. But this is just a snippet of what's in our book, our healing journal.
Yes, that part.
We have a financial section in there that breaks it down a little better.
Yeah, so don't forget to check them out. We have the normal version that has all the information on the outside, and then we have our Pimo version, which just looks like a healing journal with a picture. It has nothing on the outside.
Yep, it's in our description below, along with the video we did about the poverty in Jehovah's Witnesses, if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
Yep.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yep, and hit us on our Instagram at Awaken Truths. And other than that, this to your goals.
Okay.
Peace and love.